Hi there, welcome to this month's market update. I'm filming this on an interesting day today. The Bank of England have met to discuss their interest rate review. I'll come on to that. And I'm also going to review, as always, what's happened in the month of October, give you an idea of exactly how I think the market is going to perform over the coming months. So let's first of all just talk about October and what we saw. And again, I might be sounding a bit like a broken record in these market updates. We saw something that resembles a very normal October. In fact, if anything for us, our figures appear to be a little bit ahead of where they would have been. So the number of new properties presented to market was around and about 15% higher than we'd expect normally at this time of year. The number of properties currently available across the market, well over double what it was. And actually, interestingly, getting back to where it was in 2013 and 2014, so even ahead of where it was in that pre-pandemic phase. There's a lot more choice out there for people. So what did that mean for the number of properties that we sold? Well, actually, that was around 5 to 10% higher than where it might have been in 2018 and 2019. So well ahead of a normal market. Although when I look at the market as a whole, I can see that the performance has been relatively flat. And so we aren't seeing a great deal of headlines that property transactions are falling massively at front end or that they're growing. It just, again, looks to be a very normal market. Rightmove had a very interesting stat within their recent house price index, which said that the number of buyer inquiries for each available property was 8% higher than it was in 2019. And again, I think that this really does underline the demand that exists across the market. And so what does all this mean for prices? Because that's what everyone asks me. What's happening with house prices? Well, Nationwide yesterday came out with their report, which said that prices had gone up by 0.9%. I think we need to ignore that. I'm not sure that's correct at all. Rightmove's house price index, which again has just been released for October, said that prices only increased by 0.5% in October. That's the smallest rise in asking prices since 2008. And I think that's a good indication of where we are. We think that still prices have fallen across our market by between 6 and 8%. And we may see a little bit more come off that between the end of the year. But critically, no crash is happening. So again, all those doomsayers who said that prices were going to fall massively, they just haven't. And again, I think that that goes back to those reasons I've talked about in previous updates. There is still far too much demand. There is an increasing population for not enough housing. We simply are not building enough, and the mortgage lenders are still keen to lend. So let's move on now and think about what the future has in store. I think that issue around lending is the critical one at the moment. The Bank of England have just met and fortunately have decided to hold rates where they were at 5.25% base rate. That isn't, as I've said in previous updates, directly related to what you'll be able to get a mortgage for, but it gives us a good indication of what the temperature of the market is around lending. Now, if we see the Bank of England continue to hold rates and then maybe bring them back down into that 4% range, which is what we hope will happen into 2024, that will be good news for the market. That's what we'd like to see. We aren't going to see rates go back to where they were at 2, 3, whatever percent. That's just not going to happen. I think at 4% in that range, that's a very healthy place and a normal place again for us to be. So the other big factor that I think that we need to consider for this month coming is the Chancellor's autumn statement, which is later on in November. This is a critical time now for the government. As we know, they're not polling well. And interesting fact, no government has ever been re-elected in a year where house prices have fallen. So they're gonna have to do something to try and give people that feeling of happiness that their house is going up in value. It's obviously linked to their intrinsic feeling of wealth and well-being. We are a country obsessed with home ownership, as we know. And we've been reading up a lot, I've been reading up a lot on what is expected from the autumn statement. I think there could be a couple of grenades, and we'll film an update after the autumn statement, all being well, to give our thoughts on what's happened. There's things like stamp duty cuts being talked about, relief on the interest that investors, buy-to-let investors have to pay for their property, inheritance tax relief, help for first-time buyers, help for downsizers. All this type of stuff is being talked about, and we're going to be really interested to see exactly what the government does throw at the market to try and stimulate that growth that I believe they want to see through 2024. As always, you're going to have to stay in touch with us through these updates to find out exactly what's going on. I call it a normal market right now. I've been saying it for some time. That's how I see it. Whether or not that will continue, I will keep updating you. As always, please subscribe. Please like my video if you made it all the way to the end. I really do appreciate that. And thank you so much for watching.